Welcome to the Land.MBA podcast. My name is David Van Steenkist, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Howard Zonder.
Hello, everybody.
What's going on, sir?
It is November 11th, Veterans Day, a day that's very important to me, not only as a veteran and for my respect for veterans, but also because it's the day after November 10th, which, as everybody must know, is the birthday of the Marine Corps. So to all my fellow Marines, happy birthday. I hope you got a piece of cake yesterday, no matter where you are. Stories flourish in the Marine Corps about a piece of cake being delivered in torrential rain to a Marine in the middle of a firefight. So nothing stops the cake delivery for the Marine Corps. And I think it's really important that we stop and just reflect a little bit on our veterans and what they do for our country and what we might be able to do for them.
Hoorah! So awesome.
I like that. Hoorah is Marine Corps, because if you said hooah, that would be Army. So I appreciate you going with Marine Corps on that.
Okay. my good buddy who I'm teaching the land business, who's a 26-year Army vet, wouldn't appreciate it though. That's freaking hilarious. All right. So if you could give every veteran a gift, what in active duty, what would you give them?
Well, I think that every veteran, they've basically gone off. They've said, I'm going to give some time and service to my country and service to freedom and what we believe in. And I think they all deserve the reward of a great life and having great options available to them. So my gift to them is get in the land business. And I want to talk about that. Why I'm not, those aren't just words because we're in the land business. If you're an active duty military person or you're a veteran, you really need to be looking at this business. It really has a number of aspects about it that I think are incredibly beneficial to you and would really help reward you for your sacrifices that you've made for us.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I mean, I agree with that for anybody, but why specifically is this business so good for military?
Well, a long time ago, down in North Carolina, when I was a young buck first lieutenant, I won't say exactly how long ago this was, but there were a lot of Marines, both enlisted and officers, who had gotten involved in Amway. So you may not realize this. This may come as a complete surprise to you, Dave, because you've been so well paid and fat, dumb, and happy for your whole career. Maybe not so fat, but the other two. And but military
I'm
people,
happy because I'm dumb. I don't know what's going on around me.
Although you do have a good military haircut, and we respect that. Military people, they don't get paid that much. And so having a good side hustle is something that's often on the mind of a military person. How can they get a little bit more money in the door, improve their lifestyle? Back then, this was pre-internet. Amway was the way to do it. In fact, with Amway, they would not even allow you to use a computer, just because it was not, everybody didn't have one. It had to be something, a business model that was completely duplicatable to everybody. And since everybody didn't have a computer or access to the internet, you couldn't use it. But regardless, the point was, and most of the military people that I know that did it, it was a husband-wife team. They did it together. And I think that's a really important aspect of it for active duty military people, because the funny thing about being in the military is you deploy a lot. So you're overseas, you're on a ship, you're in a foreign country, wherever. It makes it a lot harder to sustain that side hustle. But if you're working in partnership with your spouse and they can handle a lot of it while you're away, then that certainly makes life a whole lot easier. But this idea of a side hustle is nothing new to active duty military people. And I think that land in particular is such a phenomenal opportunity for them, because it does not tie you, like most other real estate models, to a local area where you're You got to be able to reach out and touch buildings and land and contractors and tenants and all the rest. It's a desktop business. You don't have to see the land. You can buy land on the other side of the country. You can sell it on the other side of the country and do everything from your computer on your desktop, from your smartphone, for wherever. So it really is suitable to an active duty person in their lifestyle. So I strongly recommend you look into this, because we were having this conversation the other night on the Land Speech Smart Bar, and one of our coaching students said, it just amazes me every single day that anybody would still be involved in flipping. I mean, they work so hard for so little money. And we go and we flip this land and we make 100, 200, 300% ROI on a deal. It's so much easier than what you see the other people doing in other forms of real estate. But the important thing is you can do it from anywhere too. And that is really conducive to the military.
Right. Yeah, now, just to clarify, you're referring to house flipping.
House flipping, absolutely. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can relate to that. I did house flipping several years ago. That's actually how I got my start in real estate. And the idea there is flip, buy and hold, flip, buy and hold. So you do 2 flips, make enough money for a down payment on buy, and then buy a rental property. Do a couple more flips, buy a rental property, and you accumulate. And that's a nice formula, but it is a hell of a lot more difficult than they make it sound. And when I found land, I was like, I was really fed up and frustrated with house flipping. I had also gotten to a point where I was negotiating with an employer to go back into my old sales career. And because I ran all the numbers, and I'm like, gosh, I made just as good of money in sales and had a lot less stress and actually worked less, and you work a lot in sales, than I did flipping houses. Yeah. And so I was, but I bought this, online land course, and I did a couple of mailers, and I did a handful of deals, to small deals, and I proved the model. I'm like, this works. And this is absolutely something I can do as a side hustle. So I'm going to shelve this. I'm going to take this really good job for a while and plug in and, learn what I need to learn so I can get up to speed and be proficient at the new job. And then once I feel comfortable, I'll pick this land stuff back up and do it as a side hustle. And lo and behold, it took a couple of years, and I was able to, not only provide significant additional income for my family, but it enabled me to quit my job after a few years. And now I'm doing it full time and teaching people how to do it. So my lifestyle's certainly a lot happier. And I am geographically untethered, because all you need to run this business is an internet connection and a phone. Exactly. And, it's, you want to go take a extended vacation. You want to, for those of you who are familiar with Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, you want to go take mini retirements and go live in Costa Rica for 6 months, or, go whatever. Just go, live in the States, go here and there, and live in different places. You can do that. Oh, by the way, if you are a house flipper and you don't want to give it up, you want to continue to do it, but you want to just add another stream, you could make this your primary stream of income and not have to be geographically tethered, provided you don't have family and things that are tethered, but, and go to the markets. Let's say you live in a market that's difficult. Like I live in Denver, Colorado, very, very tough market for sticks and bricks. But there's a handful of markets that haven't had the kind of saturation and price inflation that we've had, that you can still go and, do good in sticks and bricks. And so, if you want to go plant yourself and have your regular cash flow here and be in a market where you can take advantage of these markets that still have upside on houses, it enables you to do that. So that's a little bit off the side of veterans, but if you're, realtors, house flippers, wholesalers, things like that, it's a great stream of income to add.
Yeah, absolutely appropriate to veterans for sure.
These are some crazy times in the real estate field. Demand is high, inventory's low. If you're a realtor, a wholesaler, or house flipper, you've probably noticed how hard it's become to find quality deals. This is why so many in our industry are looking at land as an outstanding way to add new revenue stream to their portfolio.
If you're listening to this podcast, you already know that land is a relatively unknown niche of the multi-billion-dollar real estate market with huge profit potential. Seriously, what other business delivers 200, 300, 1,000% return on investment deal after deal?
It seems hard to believe, but land really returns 100 to 300% commonly, and sometimes over 1,000% deal after deal. And in the age of COVID, demand for land has never been higher.
Many of our students have already created new revenue streams with land and added six figures to their incomes.
We've had clients who have achieved multiple six figures in their first year of business. Another paid for all his coaching and pocketed 15 grand on his first deal. Now, not everybody has these kinds of results, but they're certainly possible if you have the right instruction, the right support, and highly experienced mentors.
You don't need another course that promises the moon and then delivers an elementary school education. You need a proven program suitable to your experience and ambition. You need a Land.MBA. The Land.MBA is everything you need to blow it out in the land business. Courseware, mentorship, tools, community, and even deal funding. Look, because you're here listening to me, you know that Dave and I don't hold anything back. That's a founding principle we've had from the beginning. With the Land.MBA, you get everything we have to offer. There are no upsells. And now, through popular demand, we have transformed our highly regarded one-to-one coaching program into a small group format at a fraction of the price. If you're ready to build a six-figure income with the freedom of being your own boss, go right now to www.land.mba/fortune. That's www.land.mba/fortune. Let us help you create your next path to wealth. Why do people join? I mean, some people join, it's a financial thing. They want to get their education paid for or whatever. But at some level, I think people join the military because they believe in their country, they believe in the ideals of freedom, they believe in the American way. You know, it sound like a Superman comic strip, or we could just call it the American dream. But if we deconstruct those terms just a little bit, I mean, what does freedom really mean? Freedom really means that we live in a world where there's opportunity and there's no structural reason why we can't achieve our dreams, whatever they are. And that we can make as much money as we want to if we're willing to figure it out and work hard, and that's important. Now, the reality is, when you take that corporate job, that's not exactly how it works. You kind of have that first opportunity to negotiate when you get in there, and then you're eligible for your annual cost of living allowance increases every year to the degree they want to give it to you,
Yeah.
and bonuses to the degree they can figure out how to oh, everybody gets this happened to me every interview I ever did in the corporate world. Oh, everybody gets 100% of their bonus. And then you get in there, it's like, oh, well, the company didn't do as well this quarter, so we're only paying this year, so we're only paying out 50% bonus. Every single time it worked like that. So, but the bottom line is, how much you're able to make is how much they're willing to pay you. And so you don't really have control of that. I
Yeah.
always tell people in this business that, I have four requirements at this stage of my career. One, I gotta look forward to getting up in the morning. I gotta love what I do. Two, there can be no limit on how much money I can make. If I'm willing to work twice as hard, I want to make twice as much money. Three, geographical independence. It's the internet age. If I have a laptop and a smartphone, I should be able to run my business from anywhere in the world. And four, I can never be fired or downsized. And fired or downsized is a big problem, and it's getting to be a bigger problem. Um, Despite any protestations from the administration saying that, oh, the reason we have
You mean the regime?
the reason we have inflation right now is because the economy is so hot. No, it's not that. It's the supply chain is a disaster, and they're flooding the economy with dollars. I mean, but that's the reality of it. But this supply chain issue is a real problem. I just saw an article that said that all of the television and print media networks are suffering a lot right now because all of the advertisers are pulling back their advertising budgets because the supply chain is screwing up the economics of what their business is so bad. So they have to tighten their belts.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, even if they sold what they can sell, they can't supply it.
can't deliver it.
They can't
Exactly.
deliver. So and that's hurting everybody. And that's I think we're going to have some. I don't want to go down too much of a rabbit trail, but I think that's going to produce even worse unemployment next year.
Probably so. And right now, I mean, they're talking about there are more jobs than people to fill them. That's not true. There are more jobs than people willing to work. That may be true.
Yeah,
But even the jobs that are available tend to be the lower paying jobs. There are jobs in restaurants, jobs at Walmart, jobs, trucking. I mean, I think you can't go on the news in every 5 minutes not hear an advertisement for a company trying to train truckers right now because we're short, a couple 100,000, I think, right now. So that's fine. But that's a tough job. And so the question is, if you're an active duty person transitioning into the civilian world, or you're a veteran who, why did you join? What does freedom mean to you? If it means I want the freedom to be able to control my own destiny and deliver a quality of life to myself and to my family of my own choosing, how do you do that? And this land business is just phenomenal. I mean, your story is a great one, Dave. I mean, you did it, then you went back to the job a little bit, then you came back and you were able to do this full time. And your not only is your current income level based upon you and your level of work and how and overcoming your challenges to achieve, but there's no cap on how much money you can make. And you're a person who's constantly challenging your own processes, trying to figure out how to do it better, how to grow, how to scale. And so there's nobody out there, there's no corporate boss that's saying, yeah, I want you to work 3 times as hard, but I'm not going to pay you anymore.
right.
I'm not going to give you the title or the pay. I'm going to give you the job of 3 people now instead of 1 person, because we have to tighten our belts a little bit. It's not like this. It's your business. You go make it happen, and you own your freedom, you own your quality of life, you own your ability to go achieve the American dream. That's why we joined the military. That's what we fought for if we went to war. And this business delivers it. And the economy of the United States today is a challenging one. Hopefully it won't last forever, but it is challenging right now. And this is a way to manage it yourself, for yourself and for your family.
Absolutely. Yeah. The other thing to talk about freedom. I don't think you mentioned it, but mandates, vaccine mandates. Look, I don't care where you fall down on that, where you fall on that issue. I don't want to, get too overly political here, but as entrepreneurs, we tend to err on the side of freedom. We tend to be a little bit more conservative. But look, if that is something that is a big issue, well, you take that corporate job, and I'm speaking, to anybody, but we talked about vets, people who are transitioning back into the private sector. I have a very good friend of mine who is a 26-year Army vet, and I'm training him in the land business. He recently retired last year. He was working in an IT job, pretty good paying IT job, but had all of the things that you just talked about, very, very little extra pay, for the hard work. But they also came down and were mandating vaccines. That was an issue. There was an issue where, he was just very unhappy and trading time for money and had no freedom. While he had a pension, you're not going to live high on the hog on the military pension. However, it's enough to pay the bills. Yeah. It's if you can live conservatively and you can pay the bills. So look, guys, if the shit hits the fan, if you're talented and you're willing to work hard, you can always get a JOB. And what does that stand for, Howard?
Tell me.
Just over broke.
Oh, I hadn't heard that one before.
J.O.B. If you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, that's he talks about it. But anyway, yeah, just over broke.
Hey, folks, people often talk about automating and outsourcing your land flipping business, but what does that really mean? Generic solutions leave it to you to figure out how to set up and maintain the automations. I've been running my land business on LandSpeed for over 3 years because it's a total solution and allows me to focus on being a great land investor. LandSpeed was built specifically for land investing by a land investor. And with many of the most successful people in the business using it for years, it's evolved into one of the most feature-rich solutions on the market. Some of the key benefits I get are being able to create and manage mail campaigns and neighbor letters. I'm able to automate tasks amongst my team, create contracts and deeds, and email, text, or mail them within a few clicks. I can automatically capture sales leads from any lead source, including Facebook Messenger. Then it automatically pushes those leads into my sales funnel so that I can manually follow up, but they also go into my automated drip campaign. And since LandSpeed's a total cloud-based solution, I can run my business from anywhere in the world with a phone, laptop, or tablet. So if you want to turn your hobby into a professional, scalable business, just go to landspeedtech.com/Dave to receive a $150 discount today.
Look, if you've got your bases covered, or you're somewhere where your spouse is working, you're both working, and with one of you working, okay, you barely make ends meet, but you do make ends meet,
And
be a freaking entrepreneur. I don't care if you do land. Land's a great business, but be a freaking entrepreneur. Go swing for the fences, because that is the only way you're going to get to the point where you have the lifestyle and the freedom that you want, and you can give your kids what you want. Hey, and you know what? You may not get rich being an entrepreneur, but you'll get rich in freedom. You'll get rich in peace of mind, enjoying what you do. There's a saying I recently read, and I love to live by. It says that unsuccessful people make decisions based on today's situation. Successful people make decisions based on where they want to be. So I just can't implore you anymore. If you've got your bases covered, look, if you need to get a job to make ends meet, get that job, but don't be stuck in that. If you're in a situation where there's a glass ceiling because you only have a certain level of education and you're only going to ever make so much, unless you do something really outside the box, then you got to do a side hustle. But if you got your bases covered, man, be an entrepreneur. And I strongly recommend this business.
I just had a thought, and this is the economics of it, right? The Federal Reserve redefined how they calculate inflation through the CPI by removing all the things that cost us the most money. They remove gas, they remove food, they remove education. Well, that's not an accurate representation of the primary drivers of what sucks up our income.
Right.
And so what ends up happening is real inflation goes up like this, but the CPI goes up like this, which means that your income is going to go up along the CPI, which is going to increase much slower than inflation. So that no matter how much money you make, if that persists over time, your real income is actually decreasing because what you can purchase with the available money that you're getting after taxes is smaller. On top of that, and again, not to get political, but if the Build Back Better plan that they want to pass in Congress goes through, they're talking about adding 87,000 IRS agents. Now, anybody who thinks that's just to go after the super wealthy, you might want to go speak to a psychiatrist. That is coming after all of us, so that everybody's going to get audited, everybody's going to be fearful and try to overpay their taxes so that they don't run afoul and have to deal with this. So you're going to pay more in taxes, and with the amount of money you keep is going to purchase less because of inflation. So wouldn't it be nice to either have a primary career or a side hustle that has no ceiling on how much money you can make? You want to work harder, you want to work smarter, you get to make more money. No limits.
Absolutely.
It's the only way to be free.
Yeah. And, I'll tell you, probably the best inflation hedge is forever cash real estate, houses, multifamily, things like that. But if you're not making enough money to put anything away or to free up your time, you're never going to be able to invest in those forever cash assets. Okay. Land, I know a lot of people land, and this is also, I'm doing some of it as well. Utilize land to make a significant income, keep your lifestyle low, don't go spend it all, save that money, roll, and then, hey, you got money that you're running your land business with, you keep that income coming in and pumping up. And then now I've got a nice chunk, I can go buy a rental property. And I also have some time because I've either got cash flow from notes or I'm making enough that I'm like, okay, I can take a few weeks off and focus on finding some houses. Yeah. You've got choices when that happens. And look, I want to come back to your point on the taxes and how we're all paying it. When our politicians talk about taxes, especially taxing the rich, it's all 100% pandering. Okay. The middle class typically ends up getting the brunt of the taxes because there's a number one rule. Let this sink in and don't forget it. The rules are written by the rich for the rich. Do you really think are corrupt members of Congress? Yes, about 80% of them are completely corrupt. There's maybe 20% of them that are honest. And that's not coming from me. You really think, they got the same investments that you and I do, although they're privy to a hell of a lot more. But they're not going to freaking tax themselves. Why do you think the IRS code is 6,500 pages? It's 6,500 pages. The first 200 of it are, the H&R Block level, people doing their taxes themselves, and H&R Block level. And then you got a few hundred more pages that are maybe, small solopreneurs like ourselves that can afford a decent rate for an okay tax accountant. And then the rest of it are all of I'm not going to call them loopholes because they're legal. They're written into the tax code. But the rich can afford to pay for those tax accountants and those lawyers to save them all that money. And I don't care if you look back through all the years, all the tax changes, it's never changed. And especially the rich who are in real estate, they don't end up paying any taxes or very, very little. Okay. But they do put a crap load into the economy. And if they do, we're really, really taxed. And I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, then it would slow the economy and actually hurts those of us who are having opportunities because of these people, these company owners and their investments. So let's just cut the bullshit. That's the way it is. So unfortunately, we're all going to get caught in the middle here. Not the rich, we are. So you can fight it. You can complain about it till you're blue in the face. You ain't going to affect it. Doesn't matter who you freaking vote for. So you can either learn to play the rules of the rich or get shafted.
The important thing is that, they typically say that inflation, for example, hurts mostly the people who are on a fixed income. Now, clearly, if you live on Social Security, it's going to hurt you a whole lot. But the fact is, most people, whether they're a wage earner or even a salaried person, that's a fixed wage. Your wage is not going up, and at most it's going to go up by the CPI, which has no correlation to the real inflation rate. So no matter how you look at it, over time you're getting less for your income, and therefore you need some kind of an opportunity with no ceiling where you can work harder and make more money and keep the benefits of your effort. All right, I think we've gone over on that topic.
That horse has been dead a couple of times.
All right. Well, look, it is, again, it's November 11th. It's Veterans Day. I want to thank you again for your service. It means the world to us as a business, but it means the world to our country. So thank you so much for your service. We wish you a very happy Veterans Day, a very wonderful holiday season as we're entering it, getting towards Thanksgiving. And we'll see you next time on the Land.MBA.
Wait a minute. I got one more thing.
Okay.
All right. So what I wanted to say was, Howard and I were talking about this a little bit. We want to do something special for military, both active duty and vets. So we're going to go ahead and create a coupon code. It's going to be in the show notes, both in the podcast and on YouTube. And you can click the link and receive 25% off our Land.MBA coaching program, training program. And so click on the link that you'll find in the show notes. And we hope to see you. And we really look forward to getting to know you and helping you live your dreams. So with that, I bid you adieu, and we will see you soon.
Semper Fi.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, had a bit of fun, and walked away with some actionable insights that you can apply to your business. Dave and I have got some great content and interviews planned, so don't forget to rate and review, and of course subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. If we mention any interesting links or tools, you'll find them in the show notes. To learn more about Land.MBA, visit our website at, wait for it, Land.MBA. See you next time on the Land.MBA podcast.